What up, homies, and welcome back to another Achievements Are Impossible, where we 100% a game and gives ourselves a new challenge to complete. This week we have Cuphead. Cuphead is a 2D platformer fighting game known for its old school art style and difficulty in completion. This game has 42 achievements to unlock based off of story completion, perfection, and fighting combinations. We start our adventure learning about Cuphead and his brother Mugman, who lived a little too carefree and ended up in the wrong part of the town at the Devil's Casino. They went on a hot streak and the devil himself came out and insisted that if they won the next roll, they would win all of the casino's wealth, but if they lost, they would sell their souls. Cuphead, blinded by the money they already won, agreed for the both of them and lost the roll. They pleaded for their life and the devil requested that they collect all the other souls that have been owed to him. They want to save their own. We head out of our house and go to the shop where we buy our first item, the smoke bomb, which allows us to turn invisible while dashing. Then we head to our first boss. They're the root pack, which is a potato, an onion, and a carrot. They all have different attacks and different ways to dodge, and after a few tries, we eventually beat them. On top of that, we beat them without getting hit once on our completion run. This unlocked 2 achievements for us. Taking names for defeating a boss, and perfect run for beating a level without getting hit. I was a bit confused as it looks like we also need to perform a certain amount of actions on a level to get the highest grade. These consist of the time it takes to beat the level, how many parries we use during a level, how much health we have remaining, and how many times we use our super attacks. I realized that the first boss was not equivalent to the first level, and beat the first run and gun level, collecting all 5 coins. After beating a stage, our map changes to unlock a new area. We cross the bridge and find a mausoleum. Inside are spirits trying to attack a legendary chalice, also known as Miss Chalice. We practice parries as the ghosts are not affected by bullets and unlock parry persistence for parrying 20 times. After defeating the spirits, Miss Chalice reveals herself and we unlock our first super attack. We continue mindlessly as the game is a bit open world-like, where we find a boat that takes us to another island. I figured out later that this was the DLC island, but it allowed us to unlock the cookie charm, which allowed us to play as Miss Chalice. We get a quest from a baker and the Chalice to find ingredients for a tart so that Miss Chalice can become alive permanently. Not knowing it was the DLC area, I realized I wasn't strong enough and I took the boat back to the beginning island. We eventually found a shortcut around the map, unlocking cutting corners. We beat the next level and 2 more bosses, and we defeated one of the bosses with a weapon we bought from the store, unlocking the latest sensation. We then finish up the last bosses on this island, unlocking 2 more achievements: Porcelain Power for defeating a boss with a super move, and a Walk in the Park for defeating all the bosses on the first island. We head into a room where Dice King talks to us, and he tells us that we did good so far, but we need to collect more souls on the next island. Before we head out, our Elder Kettle, which is essentially our grandpa, meets us and reassures us that we are gaining strength, and when we collect enough souls, we can take on the devil ourselves. We start practicing a couple of the bosses and parry successfully for the 100th time, unlocking parry performance. We head over to Funhouse Fair and parry a balloon 5 times in a row for bouncing ball. We then put on our patient pants and manage to get an A- rank on the remaining 2 bosses on the second island. This will be a huge time save for us later. In the process, we unlock a day at the fair for beating all the bosses on Island 2. We continue our way through the 3rd island with a couple more A ranks, which took me by surprise, and we managed to make our way to the 3rd and final mausoleum. After freeing Miss Chalice for the final time, she gives us our 3rd and final super ability to choose from, and the achievement, Magician Lord. We finish our final run and gun level, and collected every coin in all the levels, which unlocks coffers full. At this point I checked the shop and I realized I'm still missing a good amount of coins. There are some hidden ones around the map that I've been getting, but I think the remaining are in the DLC, so I can't clear out the shop yet. I decided to take a bit of a break from progressing the story, as we're only a couple bosses away from beating it, and backtrack to the first island, and get all A ranks. It took a lot less time than I anticipated, and soon enough we earned Sheriff. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm getting better at this or if I'm having a good day, but we wrap up Island 2 fairly quickly with the A ranks and earn the boss achievement. We continue our hot streak and get all the levels previously completed to an A rank, and we finish the final boss on Island 3, unlocking a trip downtown. We also unlocked Mayor for getting an A rank on all the Island 3 bosses. We head into the final doorway and find our last hidden coin. This is every coin a part of the main story, which unlocks High Roller. We still need to get through the DLC to get everything from the shop. But for now, we head into the casino, and King Dice tells us he was betting against us to lose, and we have to fight him next. He spawns in a die in the center that we have to roll to move spaces on the board in the background. I opted to use the pea sugar charm, which automatically parries for us, so I could ensure what number I would roll. This helped us get a run where we got every HP bonus and save space. We make it to the end and notice if we run into the wall of whatever side King Dice's hand is on, he won't hurt us. We managed to beat him without taking a hit, which unlocks 2 achievements, Rolling a Sky and Casino Night. We head to the final boss, the devil himself, and he's impressed that we have managed to take out King Dice. He asked us for all the soul contracts we've collected, and we hand them over to beat the game. This unlocks Selling Out. It's kind of whack being a sellout though, so we load our game back up and refuse to give the devil the contracts. This starts the boss battle. This guy was a pain due to how many different attacks he can have in his first phase. He has at least 6 attacks that I can remember that require us to be in different positions or have different reactions and different moving patterns so that we don't take damage. Luckily, once we get past the first phase, everything else feels a lot easier and we manage to beat the boss and get an A rank. We unlock Swing You Sinner for beating the devil and Souls Saved for beating the game on normal. We also got an A rank on both bosses for the King achievement. At this point, I wanted to test out Expert and knock out 2 achievements at once. We used Miss Chalice to defeat a boss and managed to earn an S rank, which is beating the boss fast enough, having 3 HP remaining, having used 6 supercharges, and parrying 3 objects in the fight. The S rank achievement is Put on a Show, and the Miss Chalice win is Alive and Kicking. We quickly take a break from Expert mode and work on some random achievements. We take out a boss with an extra move, unlocking Ceramic Strike, and take out a boss with Miss Chalice's super art, unlocking the Golden Touch. We find a little secret that moving our left stick about 5 times in a circle unlocks a genie that grants us extra HP on our next boss fight. This combined with the heart charm for an additional heart, and going into the King Dice fight for extra heart spaces, gives us 9 HP total, unlocking Hardy. We continue on to beat 9 more bosses with Miss Chalice, which unlocks Decadent. At this point, I was concerned I wouldn't be on pace to 100% this game in a week. I was debating separating the main game from the DLC for the achievements, but I realized my only 2 remaining achievements in that case would be buying out all the shop items and defeating a boss using only the mini plane. The only way to get the coins for buying out the shop would be to play through the DLC and complete the King's challenges. The best part is every time you beat a challenge, this guy moves across the DLC island onto a different spot. This forced me to have to beat the bosses to unlock more portions of the map. And honestly, I surprised myself by getting an A rank on one of them on my first try. That gave me all the hope I needed to know that I can complete the DLC within the week. I managed to beat all the King's challenges and unlock Checkmate. After that, we went straight to the shop and bought out all the items, unlocking Butter and Eggman. We managed to beat the 5-ish main bosses and get all A ranks on them, which unlocked 3 achievements at once. A Vacation in the Wilds for beating every boss, compliments to the chef for completing the DLC questline, and Ranger for all the A ranks. Believe it or not, this was only the beginning of our marathon troop for these DLC achievements. We head back to the castle where we got the DLC coins and were presented with a new option, the Gauntlet. It's a marathon of all 5 of the bosses in this area in one single run. To my surprise, we managed to complete this fairly quickly, which was like under 2 hours, which unlocked a King's Admiration. There's an item we bought from the shop called the Broken Relic. This one item has a whole questline behind it that I'd have no idea about if I didn't look up a guide for the Easter egg. I'm going to call it an Easter egg. There's a graveyard on the DLC map, and there's also some contestants. When speaking to the contestants, they speak in a certain way on every save file. The way they talk to you lets you know what tombstones to interact with in the graveyard for the next section. When hitting the tombstones in the correct order, the center one starts to glow and asks you if you want to take a nap. This brings us into a secret boss fight. Once we beat it while holding the Broken Relic transforms into the Cursed Relic, unlocking a horrible night to have a curse. We then need to defeat somewhere between 6 to 8 bosses with the relic for it to transform into the Divine Relic. The Cursed Relic makes our weapon change every time we use our super, use our dodge, or stop shooting. It also lowers our base health to 1 HP, but makes up for it in the sense that every 1st, 3rd, and 6th parry we gain a heart. After taking out all 8 bosses, our relic transforms, unlocking Paladin. We knock out our next achievement by getting an S rank on one of the DLC bosses. I almost fumbled it at the last second, but luckily my invincibility from being hit previously saved me, unlocking Cooked to perfection. There's only one achievement left for the DLC at this point, and it's to defeat a boss without destroying any of its minions. We head into the High Noon Hoopla, as there's only minions on the first stage to take out. We avoid them and take out the boss instead, unlocking Hi-Hat. We backtrack onto the King Dice fight, so that we can eventually roll and get a mini-boss where we're in our plane. We only defeat the boss using our plane in the smaller form, unlocking Bravo Zulu P26. And now for the final achievement, Pacifist, where we beat every run and gun level without defeating an enemy. I'd say 4 out of the 6 levels were quite easy, considering we have Miss Chalice with her double jump, a parry dodge, and gaining an additional jump after parrying. One level was a decent challenge, but the Funhouse Fair, it's just evil. The level's evil because there's so many enemies that are literally walls for hitboxes and you can't avoid them, so you have to sacrifice HP or your invincibility super. This level's taking me so long, I have to start editing everything and see if I can take breaks from editing to then finish getting the achievement. Hopefully we do, I'm not even sure at this point, but if we do, I'm putting it in here that we got the Pacifist achievement. The only other achievement left, which unfortunately I most likely might not have time for to beat this week, is Beat the Devil at his own game, which is to beat every boss from the main game on Expert Mode. On Expert Mode, the bosses are pretty much better in every way by 25% of their base form, and some characters even have new fighting combinations. This game has been a roller coaster of emotions for me, and while I can't make this game more difficult than it is, I can try to give myself a different kind of challenge. This time my challenge is to beat a boss with only shooting and jumping, nothing else. We head into the root pack on the first island. The potato is probably our most valuable person here, as we get multiple parries off on him. Our first and third parry give us bonus HP, while the parries stack up for our super move. The next one in the pack is the onion. Now there's an Easter egg here, where if you don't hit the onion, it will just go away and move on to the next phase, but doing this would spawn a strawberry that would essentially ruin our whole run, as it follows you around on the floor of the map. So we start to shoot the onion and we have to take a bit of damage for it, as he starts crying tears down on us. Lastly, we have the carrot, and while his homing carrots are easy, we try to jump over his rings that he fires from his third eye, but we pretty much fail. We have to use our super for some invincibility, but we end up knocking him out. As always, that's all the achievements, homies. Let me know if you liked the video, if you have a harder challenge for me to pursue within reason, or what game I should try to 100% next. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.